Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Olala France. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing. Alright, so today's video is going to be about how I successfully managed to pass DELF B2 in the span of 9 months. So to begin with, I am from India. My name is Madhura. If you are, listening to me for the first time, I lived in India until the age of 20, and then I moved to the US for about 7 years to complete my higher studies, my master's in engineering, and then I worked there for about 3 years, and then I moved to Grenoble, France, after I got married to a French national last year in September 2018. Voila, so that is how I basically ended up in France. And then I immediately kind of learned that if you are to survive here, if you are to integrate yourself in a good way, in a solid way into the French society, speaking French is absolutely primordial, c'est complètement indispensable. Et c'est pourquoi j'ai décidé d'apprendre la langue française. Et alors, qu'est-ce que c'est exactement le DELF? So let me read out to you the definition. Le DELF, diplôme d'études en langue française, est une certification officielle en français langue étrangère du ministère français de l'Éducation nationale. C'est un diplôme internationalement reconnu qui permet de valider votre niveau de français auprès d'universités ou d'écoles, d'employeurs ou d'administrations dans le monde. Ce diplôme est valable sans limitation de durée. C'est-à-dire, this diploma is valid for the rest of your life, which is fantastic. I would highly encourage, no matter what level you have in French, to consider passing this diploma to sort of concretize and validate your knowledge of French. And when anybody says B2, you're like, what is B2? Like, how can you classify a language by just like a letter and a number? But what it means to me is when you are at this level, you are able to hold a conversation with somebody that speaks French. You are able to actively participate in the conversation with some of the spontaneous replies with your own ideas, and you're able to expand those ideas. You make very few errors when it comes to writing. You know certain tenses very well in grammar. And you're able to understand a lot of French text that you come across in your daily life, let it be in different kind of magazines. Like, for example, this is a really good magazine, like Ça m'intéresse. It helped me a lot during my training. So how I got to that level, which is, for which the recommended time is 2 years in 9 months. And I would say one of the reasons for this might be my background. The reason being, I come from a country which recognizes, in its constitution, 22 different languages, which means there are 22 entirely different languages spoken in India in today's day and age. And I'm not talking about for some reason people in France specifically think that Indians speak this language called Hindu. And it's absolutely not true. It's really funny. Hindu is a religion, of course, but Hindu is not a language. Hindi, on the other hand, is a language probably most spoken in India. But each state, how France has different regions, India has different states. I come from the state of Maharashtra, in which Marathi is the most spoken language. It's a beautiful language with its, rich history, literature, culture, let it be music, movies, poetry, stories, novels. It's just it's never ending. I love my language. So I grew up speaking that, and I went to a Marathi school as well. And I somehow picked up Hindi as I was growing up watching, let it be, Bollywood movies, as cliche as it sounds. I started learning English at the age of about 14, 15. I also studied Sanskrit for about 3 years because it was mandatory. And if it was not mandatory, I would have probably not studied, because I am not a big fan of really speaking of learning new languages, as ironic as it may sound, considering the subject of this video. It's a tough language, Sanskrit. If I were to draw parallels between Sanskrit and other languages of the world, I would say it's like Latin for Western world, or It's like Greek, which kind of gave birth to a lot of different languages that exist today in India. So I was blessed to know Marathi, English, Hindi, and a little bit of Sanskrit growing up. That background really helped my brain sort of build up this, acceptance towards different sounds, different intonations, different construction of sentences, grammar, and lip movements. So I started studying it from October. In the beginning, I was using a lot of online resources like YouTube channels, Learn French with Alexa. It's a beautiful example. She's somebody who is very dynamic. She's originally French. I remember learning how to count in French for the first time, like from 1 to 100. I sat in front of the TV for the entire day, and then I sort of reiterated the numbers after her, and finally at the end of the day I could count from 1 to 100. I was so delighted. I want to make a separate video on this, different resource materials that I used in order to better my understanding of French in the beginning. And then after that, I joined a local organization called ODTI in English, ODTI en français, where a lot of bénévoles volunteers come to teach the language. It's a really great effort, put together by the mairie, by the city, and by the department. So I'm really thankful to all those, especially Ophélie and Estelle. If you're watching this video, thank you so much for kind of introducing me to the language. And I could get to like about A2 level using those classes. And then I went to the local libraries and borrowed books for improving my comprehension orale, which came with those CDs. I would put them in the CD player. I would listen to them, solve the questions. So that's how I got from like A2 to B1. And at the same time, I was doing a lot of grammar side by side. Like I referred to this book a lot, Saison, Méthode de Français. And the most important part was more than in the book, like at the end of the book, like for example, the conjugations. Oh, it's the key. Conjugations is the key. And after level B1, I sort of realized that, going on from here, I need a professional help. I need somebody who can professionally coach me to advance further. And that time I looked into going to Alliance Française or Université de Grenoble, etc. And well, it came at a certain price and I was ready to pay it, but at the same time I was like, okay, let me explore some of the other resources that might be possibly available to me through Pôle Emploi. So I wrote to my conseiller, and she told me, yes, of course, we do have something for people like you who are looking to improve French, even higher levels. And she introduced me to this Institut de Formation Rhône-Alpes, where one can go for a certain duration of time. And the whole course is financed by Pôle Emploi. And also at the end of it, you have an option of taking the exam, either DELF 2 public or professionnel. So I chose sous public. My level got evaluated at the beginning of this year. And then they put me into this batch of 11 people for a formation of 2.5 months, 7 hours of French each day. So it is like an intense course. And we worked like very, very in a focused manner on all the 4 competences required to pass DELF, like compréhension écrite, compréhension orale, production écrite, production orale. Every day we would solve different kind of series online from various websites, and we would discuss, we would have exposés. So thanks to that course, I advanced like really quickly. So that's pretty much how I, decided to take DELF B2, because that was recommended to me by the IFRA teachers, formatrices. Thank you so much, and Laure, Monica, and Sophie for teaching us so beautifully for those 2.5 months. And then I took that exam on 18th of July 2019, and I got the result like in the first week of August by mail, and woo, I got 91.5 out of 100. I still cannot get over it. I'm sorry. Sorry, but okay, you get the point. So one thing I noticed was there are a lot of videos from the perspective of a teacher, but not as many from the perspective of a student or somebody who has passed this exam. So I hope this video helped you to have the courage to sign up for this exam and take this exam. If it did, please make sure to share it with your friends who are sailing in the same boat as you. And please subscribe, people, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.